It's great to have so many people from across Warwickshire here in Leamington, and a very warm welcome to you. Can I start by just saying a huge thanks to Dan, wherever you are, Dan, and the great band of willing volunteers who pull this event together every year. It seems to get bigger and better every time. Last year, I think I spoke at about 11 o'clock and there were about 20 people. It was a bit early on. But we were commemorating and celebrating those of you who came, a very important milestone. It was the 50 years since the partial decriminalisation of homosexuality, the law that was passed in 1967. This year, of course, we see another important milestone in our community, and that is the centenary since women, or some women, were given the vote, an important move that was introduced by David Lloyd George. And 90 years ago that we saw the vote given to women. So we seem to be going through a period of major political milestones. The theme for Warwickshire Pride this year, as you may well know, is to raise your rainbows. And the struggle continues. The fight carries on. The fight for personal safety, for political rights, and the freedom to express ourselves or yourself. And with every passing day and tweet, we realise just how some of those freedoms are being threatened by some of the more powerful people across the world. And we've witnessed that, I think, with the sort of backlash that's been unleashed by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And I can honestly say I was over there a few weeks ago, and there are a great many in the US who are inspired by the work that's being done in this country at the time of his visit, and the size and scale of demonstrations and the inventiveness. Just to say, that blimp that was above London proved so popular that nearly every American city is now trying to get one made for them to raise it over their city as an act of protest against him. But the reality of his and others and their outspokenness, their vindictiveness, is that we see a rise in hate crime. And we've seen in just the last 5 years an 80% rise in hate crimes against the LGBTQ+ community. 1 in 5 last year were LGBTQ+. This is a government that doesn't seem to respond to the ideas and suggestions. For example, dare I say that my own party, the Labour Party, put forward was to propose that such crimes should be assigned an aggravated offence and therefore be criminalised. And as MP, I'm more than well aware of the greater need that needs to be done in our community to arrest these sorts of actions and trends in our society, but also in our politics. For example, homophobic and transphobic bullying, which we see in our schools. And I am very pleased to see that we have stands here from the National Education Union and Unison as well, who are there on hand. These sorts of bullying, which is leading to a rise in mental health issues amongst our young people. High levels of homelessness. The survey done by the Albert Kennedy Trust in 2015 that showed a quarter of 16 to 25-year-olds facing homelessness were LGBTQ members of our community. And the fear of transphobic people to disclose their identity at work for fear of some sort of being marked out and marked down in their businesses. And then finally, just to mark the issue of deportations, we've seen this rise of hostile environments in our society by the Home Office, an organisation, a body that seems to be marking out those more vulnerable in our communities and wishing to persecute them. And those who come over to our country who are desperately seeking some sanctuary but are being returned, being deported back to face the persecution or even death in their own countries. So yes, there remains a lot to be done. But it's not all doom and gloom. Since last year, we've seen in certain countries like Malta, Australia and Germany, same-sex marriage has now been legalized. And in Taiwan, Austria and Costa Rica, there are now dates for its introduction. And in Thailand and Cuba, they are now considering its introduction. But more locally here in the UK, the Pride events that we celebrate today here in Leamington and across for Warwickshire are happening more and more across our cities and towns in the country. We should be very proud that that is happening. And for the last 6 years that this has taken such momentum and there is such pride here in our community. So can I just say in closing, thanks again to the organisers, to Dan, the volunteers. Thank you to the public for coming along and to the stall holders for supporting it and making it such a terrific event. Let's celebrate, let's enjoy, have a great rest of your day.